Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Close Combat 2, A Bridge Too Far, a late 1990s classic real-time tactical war game, which puts you in the shoes of the Allies during the Market Garden offensive, and the attempt to take those key bridges over the various rivers leading up to Arnhem and the Rhine, which would have allowed the Allies early access into Germany. This is episode number 4 of this Let's Play series, and while I had intended to play some Close Combat Cold War today, or some decisive campaigns Ardennes Offensive, which actually comes out today, I have been a little bit stymied with our daughter being pretty finicky with sleeping last night, so I didn't actually have the chance to jump into either of those new complex games, and as a result, I am returning to my Close Combat series. But rest assured, while my channel has not been as timely as I would like of late, we will be getting into those new games shortly. With that being said, we are about to fight the battle for Groesbeek Heights. It is currently secured under our control, but the Germans are counter-attacking the 82nd Airborne's landing zone near Nijmegen, the center sector in the Market Garden offensive. And I have added a 30 cal machine gun and 60mm mortar to our force. These troops have not fought yet. We have 2 rifle sections and 3 bar sections, and then the newly acquired 30 cal machine gun and 60mm mortar sections, which will be fighting for us here on this particular mission. What this does mean is, since we have fresh troops, so does the enemy, so this will probably turn into a pretty bloody affair. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so now we have to go ahead and deploy on this map, which, if I recall, every time I deploy ends up being an absolute slaughter fest on this southern section of the map. So the way that deployments work in this game is you've kind of got a clear area where you can deploy wherever you want. You have sort of a shaded area, which I believe means neither side is allowed to deploy. And then you have a dark area here, which means that the enemy can deploy there. I had a criticism of the newest Close Combat game in that it seemed like combat was always being joined at absurdly close ranges, but that I think is maybe not a valid criticism of the new game as opposed to any of the other existing Close Combat games. I'm not sure, because we always end up in an absolute horror show in this sort of stone-walled off, I don't know if it's like a farm area or whatnot, but there's a 3-story building here. There's a 1-story building here. There's a grove of trees, and they're all enclosed by a stone wall. And this area always ends up being an absolute horror show. With that being said, hey, dilly, straight up the middle. Let's go ahead and charge this bar section into this 3-story building, because this is absolutely central to ensuring a successful victory here on this particular map. In addition to that, let's go ahead and deploy a rifle section into this wooded area here. And we're going to order them to move, I think, down here as well to secure this area. And then they'll stack it behind the stone wall if enemy troops are coming across from the 2nd Company headquarters. It's a pretty small map. I mean, I guess it's the same size, but like the entire map is mostly in our control. And it's really just these 2 objectives here on the far side of the map. So it's not a huge contested area, which I guess makes sense why the Germans are kind of stuck as they are. With that being said, let's also go ahead and deploy another bar section here. And we're going to go ahead and move these guys fast behind the stone wall, so maybe they can provide some fire against any troops trying to rush into this building, if you will. I'm also going to move 180 rifle section, I think, to the north here, and they're going to make their way toward this German gun pit. They're going to sneak over here, and we'll see if there's any German troops in the north. Sometimes there are, sometimes there aren't. Additionally, we do have a 30 cal machine gun, which can support us. I'm not sure where to put them. We could put them behind the stone wall. They'd have a nice, I think, field of fire here across this open area. So if any German troops trying to reinforce across the 2nd Company HQ, they'd be able to hit them pretty nice. The only risk is if there's any Germans over here, potentially they'd be exposed on the flank, but I'm not too worried about that. Also, I need to make sure that they don't do that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and have those guys sneak, and then I think we'll have one more section here of bar troops up in the north in this sort of like bombed out house and set them to defend to secure the 30 cal's flank. A lot of times I put troops in the stables, but honestly, I'm not sure I see the point. So this will probably be a pretty quick battle, but let's go ahead and quickly jump in. So we've got troops rushing for this 3-story building, for this stone wall. We also have troops moving safely for this sort of grove of trees. And then in the north, we have troops sneaking for the gun pits. Oh, German troops are in this building. Interestingly enough, no infantry rushing for this house, but just German troops in this building. It looks like it's a recon section. So we'll go ahead and move our bar section in here. Looks like our troops are already just ravaging these guys. MG42 section here behind the stone wall, firing into our bar section. Fortunately, our troops have the advantage of elevation in the 3-story building. Our rifle troops threw a grenade here, knocked out 2 of the 3 soldiers in this section here, and now it's just the 1 enemy troop, although it is the MG42 soldier. Looks like the recon section has taken 2 out of 3 casualties here. Rifle section has taken 1. Go ahead and fire on what's left. We might win this thing pretty damn fast. Wiped out that recon section. Another enemy MG42 section here, caught in the open, pinned down, hopefully. All right, one of them's down. Hit almost. All right, meanwhile, my 30 cal here is just firing away. It looks like there's some German infantry here in this section. They're defending, and I'm assuming my 30 cal killed one of them. Troops are crawling toward the gun pit. I'm not sure what the enemy has left. We'll go ahead and move our infantry up to this stone wall. I don't think there's any German troops on this gun pit in the north. They always seem to stack up real heavy on this company HQ in the south. All right, so this MG42 section lost one of their crew members. The MG42 gunner, I think, is suppressed, and then one of the support personnel is also crawling. So that's our 30 cal firing here. Well, it does say they're suppressed and the leader is hurt. I think we've got this gun pit. Yeah, so these Germans, and here's the problem with, I didn't go with any, or did I go with a mortar? I can't even remember. I did go with a mortar and I left them all the way back here. Let's go ahead and fire. I don't know if they have any like communications here, but let's go ahead and fire inside the 2nd Company HQ. There's a lot of German troops in just these 2 buildings and also in the open here. Presumably we can go ahead and hammer them and maybe wear them down with our artillery and then just win the battle on casualties. Given we've already wiped out 2 out of 3 in one MG42 section, we wiped out another MG42 section. We also wiped out an enemy recon section. I can imagine their morale is relatively low. We haven't taken too many casualties here. Only a couple, actually. All right, we just got another, we inflicted another German casualty. This MG42 section at the other end of the stone wall has also been wiped out, so German machine gun sections not faring well in the Nijmegen battle so far, which is good news for us. Panzerschreck here on the other end of this stone wall. Looks like our bar section took a loss. Not a KIA, but a wounded. Ooh, they're firing Panzerschreck. I don't know, this feels like an absolutely stupid decision. Let's use bazookas versus infantry. Good luck with that, boys. Anyway, we'll go ahead and try and destroy them. We did take the gun pit. Let's have these guys move to this stone wall then. Behind this Panzerschreck unit. I'm assuming you just toss a grenade to the other side of the stone wall, right? Oh, well, never mind. One of those guys just went down dead. Fuck it, just assault them. The problem is there's no real cover for the German troops on the other side, but I'm assuming they're somewhat pinned by a 30 cal. Did we get any of them? Oh god, this bar section's being wrecked by this Panzerschreck unit behind this stone wall. Can this 30 cal fire on these guys? It should have them in sight. Go ahead and pin them. Taking 3 casualties, 1 KA, 2 seriously wounded. And there's another casualty, I think. Third wounded, heavily, 1 walking wounded. And another seriously wounded. This bar section just getting wrecked. I have my rifle section coming in and flanking the Germans here. My 30 cal's firing to suppress the Panzerschreck unit. Looks like one of the bar soldiers is moving in to fight hand-to-hand combat. Good for him. He destroyed that Panzerschreck unit. G42 on the other end of the stone wall. Stay behind it. So this bar section was seriously damaged. It'll affect him for the next fight probably, but they're not permanent casualties. I think incapacitations generally are recoverable. Looks like another MG42 attempted to approach the stone wall and were wiped out, or maybe it was the one that was already badly damaged. They have a lot of MG42s they're losing in this particular fight. 2 in front of this sort of farm area down here. They also lost an MG42 unit, temporarily anyway, back here. Not a lot of infantry, though. They've got this one section back here. I think I'm dropping some mortars on them. Assuming these guys are still firing their HE. You can see we're sort of peppering the battlefield with 60mm. Meanwhile, we have the AB rifles firing down here. Sounds like the Germans are losing casualties, although again, not all of them permanent. 1 guy panicked, 2 guys wounded, nobody killed in this infantry section. And they've got another infantry section here in this 2nd Company HQ headquarters. I'm kind of surprised the Germans are hanging on here. There you go. Battle ended because the Germans were routed from the map. The Allies gained control of the area, but the Germans are expected to counterattack later. The German forces took excessive losses. This might be one of my most efficient battles so far. We did lose 6 KIA, which was not very many considering the size of the force we had at our disposal. The Germans lose 16 KIA. And actually, the desired ceasefire period is being forced to be overnight because the Germans presumably don't have the ability to counterattack before that based on the casualties they took. If we take a look at here, the AB bar section, we did lose some physique, but this lead section did inflict a fair number of casualties. We did see some cowardice in the 2nd bar section, although I guess they still largely made it out unhindered from German losses. The 3rd bar section suffered pretty poorly. 4 of these soldiers seriously wounded, only 1 KIA. The overnight aspect I'm hoping should help us, and maybe getting some of these guys back into fighting shape, although their physique is obviously declined. And then we have the AB rifle section down here with 1 KIA. The 2nd AB rifle section here, which actually exhibited a lot of bravery, and no one was hurt, so good for them, those goddamn heroes. And then our 60mm mortar, which did a little bit of damage, and our 30 cal, which apparently suffered 1 walking wounded. Overall, an effective fight here. If we look at the Germans, well, their MG42 section here, badly shot up, but these guys will probably recover. 2nd MG42 section wiped out, all KIA. 3rd MG42 section nearly wiped out, 2 out of 3 killed, 1 badly wounded. So of the 3 MG42 sections they had, 1 wiped out, 1 crippled, and 1 will be back. So pretty good results there. Their infantry section here, looks like they did have 1 unharmed infantry section. We'll probably have to deal with them later. 2nd infantry section, at least the sergeant was killed, the leader was killed, 2 of the soldiers are badly wounded, the rest are okay. So their infantry didn't deal too badly, but they only had 2 sections. The rest was largely, they went real heavy on MG42s on this battlefield, which given the massive open fields here, I don't blame them for, but the problem is when they go like charging head on for those buildings, that's probably not a great strategy. Recon section basically wiped out. Panzerschreck section also wiped out. So the support units suffered most for the Germans here. 9 Purple Hearts, no special awards other than that. Okay, so that's going to be overnight at Groesbeek Heights. Next battle is going to be Oosterbeek. So actually, I spoke incorrectly in the last video. I said that we had already secured the British landing zone, but it appears we have not. We did secure the Arnhem Bridge off camera, as I told you, but we now have Oosterbeek, which is to the west of Arnhem. This is where our landing zone is way the fuck far away from the bridge. Maybe that is a problem. History would suggest it might be. But that's all hindsight. So we are going to have to go ahead and defend the Oosterbeek Heights landing zone to ensure that the 1st Airborne continues to receive supplies and reinforcements effectively, which historically would become a major problem in the later days of the operation. But for the moment anyway, we're defending a secured sector here. Oosterbeek is completely secured. I don't even know what this bridge section is. I guess it's a shared section with the Arnhem Rail Bridge. Also, I think we did take the Arnhem Rail Bridge intact, so I don't know if that means anything for 30 Corps. I don't think it does, but okay, so let's go ahead. To defend the section, we've got 3 rifle sections, 2 Bren sections. I didn't realize the Bren was like still in service with some countries into the 1990s, and the British even had some of them in the first Gulf War, which is freaking nuts. That's pretty awesome, actually. But anyway, so we've got 19 points to assign to this this operation. We're going to go ahead and assign 10 of them to a 3-inch mortar because I love my goddamn mortars. And I think for this operation, since it's such a goddamn wide open space, we probably should have a 30 cal machine gun, right? So I think we'll do that. It uses all of our points up, but I don't usually buy machine guns. I just realized that with the British. I very rarely spend points on machine guns. But thinking about it, I mean, this is a wide open space. So mortars will be nice to prevent us from having to like charge after the enemy, but machine guns should be nice for dominating the battlefield. So let's go ahead and go with that. 2 Brens, 3 rifles, 1 mortar, 1 machine gun. All right, so our AB Vickers is in this farmhouse already. That is absolutely great. We can see here they've got a nice field of fire across this field here. If we actually, let's go ahead and I should switch them to defend so I don't have that section stuck. All right, so if we see here, there's obviously, this is another one of those LZ battles where we control the vast majority of the map, and they're just sort of 2 sections behind this hedgerow area, and then also on this roadway here in the south, where the Germans are going to come onto the map, and we have to deal with them. So if we go ahead and we zoom in here, this Vickers section here can, well, they've got pretty good line of sight across this field here. And then there's some trees in this wooded area blocking them. They can support to the south a good deal of this area here. I'm curious if we'd be better off in this 2-story cottage, though. So put them in this 2-story cottage. What can they see from there? So they can obviously fire down this roadway. They can suppress anything coming out of this hedgerow, this open area down here. They can cover the second LZ completely. Good. They can cover between the trees in this wooded area and all the way down to this hedgerow near LZ1. But they can't really cover this field here toward the farmhouse toward LZ1. Still, in my experience, I played this battle 2 or 3 times, and a lot of times Germans come up this roadway, so I think that's going to be important for them to cover. So I think we'll leave them in the cottage there. We will also put a rifle section in to support them in the cottage. Set both of these units to defend, so they open fire when they see enemy troops. This AB rifle section, I'm going to go ahead and move. We need to get some troops in this farmhouse, presumably or preferably some Bren sections. So let's go ahead and put 1 Bren section in this farmhouse here. So we've got some automatic weapons support on our right flank. Go ahead and put some rifle troops in here as well. Put some rifles also to support the Brens. We were really stacking this house full of troops. And then I don't know if I don't want any troops in the woods because that is kind of open. We do have some troops. I think I need more in the south. So what do we have down here? We've got a rifle section and the 30 cal covering the southern approaches. We have a Bren and a rifle in this farmhouse and a rifle here. I'm thinking we'll pull these guys back behind this. Well, there's not really cover there. Maybe we put these guys in this foxhole here. I'm assuming that's some cover. And then we put the 3-inch mortar here in this foxhole. I don't know what I'm doing. We'll find out. Let's start the fight, boys. I don't want to put anyone in this woods. This seems like a suicidal area to be. We did spot some Germans already down here. By putting these guys in the foxhole, if they do try and flank the building, I do have, I think, some cover there. A lot of times the game will put someone in this field here to the right flank, which may be a good idea. I've never not had troops here, but those troops also always seem to die, so. There's only one objective spot, and that is LZ1 over here that the Germans hold for the moment. But if we rout them from the field, it won't matter all that much. Oh, we spotted some German troops moving across this field. I can hear our 3-inch mortar is firing on these SS recon troops. And instantly we lit 2 of them up. Actually, the entire section is already wiped out. 2 incapacitated, 1 KIA. We've got an MG42 section also moving across here. We're still shooting at these. Oh, no, there's a Panzerschreck unit back here too. I did hear the shink of an 80 of a 3-inch mortar, which just landed here. So we did set the mortar to defend, which in one of my live streams, someone mentioned that it just means that the support troops defend, but obviously that's not correct. They do shoot when they spot enemy troops. All right. German Sturmgrenadier down here in the south. I'm going to go ahead and manually order my mortar to fire on them because they are sitting ducks in the open. Mortar out. All right, so there's already walking wounded here. SS Schulzen, we are pinning these guys down. Panzerschreck lost one of its 2 men. Alfklar destroyed. This is one of those battles where, like, you have to hold your position, and if you can wipe the Germans off the map, great. Because it's such an open field, again, because it's an LZ zone, so, right, gliders are coming down, paratroopers are coming down. This is one of those sections you definitely want to secure, though, because it is a killing zone. If you can get the enemy coming across open fields at you, you can have a serious advantage with them pinned down at far off, you know, locations. But if they start gaining footholds and they can deploy closer and on top of you, it can become a very bloody affair. Now, my mortar's not being terribly accurate, but they also don't have line of sight. Someone's under heavy fire, it says. Sounds like an MG42's in action, perhaps firing at this farmhouse. Panzerschreck's over there. MG42's crawling for this wood line. I'm going to move these guys directly across this open field to try and charge this MG42. I don't want them to get set up. It will expose us to these SS infantry troops down here, but I'm hoping they've got some cover. Distance and whatnot. It's a little bit reckless, but I really don't want to get an MG42 set up in this wood line here that can suppress our houses. So we'll assault these troops. I'm hoping the troops in the farmhouse can keep this infantry suppressed. Alternatively, I could have dropped mortars on them, but decided not to. Looks like we got one of them with a grenade. We just lost line of sight on one of the other troops. These guys are shooting at someone. I think we got a second one with another grenade. I gotta ask you a question though. Like, all right, MG42 section's wiped out. All right, rifles move back to the house. Get back in cover. I do, or actually no, do this. Move over to the LZ. I do have to ask the question though. Like, not that I'm pro shooting wounded people, because I'm not. But like, why doesn't the game allow? And maybe this is just, maybe I'm overthinking it here. But the game doesn't seem to allow for... Okay, there's 2 German soldiers here that are both incapacitated because they're wounded so badly. They can come back into the fight in future battles. Why am I not able to either take them prisoner or finish them off? Right? Like, I would think I would be able to take them prisoner. Oh shit, some Germans just showed up on this roadway over here. SS Sturmgrenadiers. They must have moved through this field beyond this hedgerow here. They immediately got lit up crossing the hedgerow. That's exactly why this battlefield is just so horrible for an attacker. You're coming across goddamn open fields. It is just, you're asking for trouble. But again, only 1 KA here. The rest of these guys will all be eventually back in action. I'm not saying I want to kill prisoners. I'm not. But I wouldn't mind being able to, or not prisoners, like wounded soldiers, but I wouldn't mind being able to take them prisoner. Just a thought. One thing I do know about this game also is the game does factor in casualty, or does factor in ammunition consumption, so that like battle to battle, gradually your forces, as your individual soldiers fight more often, they will use up their ammunition stocks. What I don't know though is if it actually looks at the ammunition consumption that occurs in a given battle, or if it's just some sort of random, like, you haven't resupplied in so long metric. And so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to assume that that you're low on ammo, right? Like, I don't know if it's just sort of a predefined over time the ammo drops by this amount, or if it is an actual, we're going to use up, we're going to base it, you know, did you use all your mortar shells in this given battle? How many rifle rounds did you fire, etc. Does look like they did get some troops into this wood, even though we wiped out that MG42. So that's something to be careful about. Okay. Moving these Bren sections toward this LZ. These guys are pinned down, but they haven't taken any casualties yet. I'm going to go ahead and switch my mortar fire. Have I done any damage with that mortar on these troops in the open? We've certainly dropped a fair bit of rounds. Yeah, they've suffered some walking wounded, only one permanently incapacitated soldier, but reduced effectiveness at least. Someone just bayoneted somebody. I don't see any indication of who. This section is now destroyed, but again, only 1 KA. The rest will all be back. What the fuck's going on? Oh, they're assaulting our building. Defend! Holy shit. They wiped out one of those infantry sections, this SS Sturmgrenadier section. And they wiped out everybody in that building. Where the fuck did they come from? Well, that's a disaster. We lost 2 sections here, a rifle and a Bren section in the farmhouse. And I thought this battle was going well. Maybe not. Actually, first things first, let's go ahead and cross into this section and take this LZ. That'll also give us some concealment.
Area secured. Move completed.
Got 5 rounds left. Why are you not shooting back? Get into the goddamn house here. I was getting lit up here in this foxhole. MG42. Sneak into that wood line. So they took the north side of the battlefield. Got 2 of my Bren sections into this house, hopefully. Nope. 1, maybe. Who's getting bayoneted? God damn it. This rifle section's getting lit up too. Sergeant! We've got 1 soldier left. Well, the battle started well. Another section destroyed up here. Apparently this Bren section couldn't find the door. God damn my mortar section. What we should do. Good to know my mortar section is panicked. Although it looks like he's still firing. How many German troops did they have in this battle? It certainly feels like they outnumbered me heavily. Alright, they got 1. Good shot there with the mortar crew.
We're under heavy fire.
Alright, we're gonna drop smoke now in front of this house. These guys are in a goddamn open field, and you guys are in a 2-story house. Telling me you can't shoot down on them? Suppress this goddamn farmhouse with smoke. I've got 1 rifle section left. That's it. right, I'm going to drop smoke down on this MG42 section also.
Take cover!
Do they have smoke? Can they drop it themselves? I'd like to get some smoke down to block this MG42's line of sight. And make a charge on them. How can they still see us from over there? Okay, so the LZ2 and LZ1 are still ours. Farmhouse and woods are German. Alright, move fast. And go engage these fuckers in hand-to-hand combat. Switch my smoke back over to this farmhouse. These troops are still cowering in pins, so I can't get them to charge. Man, this battle was going so well early on. Then SS super soldiers outfought all our troops in hand-to-hand combat, despite the fact that everybody was set to defend. Ugh. I've heard the game gives the Germans an absurd amount of like their armor is like spooky in a ahistorical sort of sense. You know, like it's what everybody's has in their mind of like, oh my god, the Tiger is a super tank, but like
Pick up your weapon.
not super reflective of reality, I think. I mean, these guys are obviously firing rifle fire. I can hear it. Go fucking assault these guys. No, don't do that. I just wanted to click and see like what your status was. Oh, you're getting wrecked by an MG42 section in hand-to-hand combat? Because that seems realistic. Yes, MG42 sections known for their hand-to-hand combat. Request ceasefire, please. It says the landing zone has been captured by the Germans. That's not real. We control both landing sections, and they have two of the sections. The battle ended because both sides agreed to a ceasefire. The battle was a stalemate. The landing zone has been captured by the Germans. Kinda, sorta. 22 Allied KIA, 1 missing, 22 German KIA. How many goddamn troops do they have? So 1 Sturm Grenadier section, 2 Sturm Grenadier section, 3 Sturm Grenadier section, 2 MG42s, a Schultzen section, which I don't even remember seeing, an Aufklar section. So they didn't actually have that many more men than we did. We butchered them good. 1 largely unhurt, two largely unhurt infantry sections to our basically stack wipe. Our 3-inch mortar was okay and our Vickers was okay. I mean, we're going to have to ask for at least 4 hours of ceasefire. And then that's going to push us back to Vigal, which is going to be Vigal North. I guess it's fitting that Arnhem would be in trouble. It's going to be 1,600 hours for Vigal North, and then we're going to go to 1,700 hours for Son, I believe. Although there's presumably more fighting to occur in Nijmegen, which has been pretty light on the fighting so far. But this is the last foothold of the enemy on the road. Do not allow the Germans to occupy this map. You must open a corridor for 30 Corps and hold it after they pass on through. If the road is cut, the drive to Arnhem will stall. So Vigal North will secure the entire Vigal section. Schindel's already secured in the south. So this whole northern area to the north of Son is secured. And then it's really just a question of the Sun Bridge, and then 30 Corps can roll right up through the Eindhoven section and get moving straight to Nijmegen without any objection. Although I have a hunch that Nijmegen Bridge is going to be a bit of a challenge. If we take a look at Vigo North, it's the last foothold of the enemy on the road. We did a 1-hour ceasefire. This is the third battle in the section. So we do have some pretty bloodied troops, a 50% strength bar unit here, a mostly full strength 2 more bar units, infantry section with 2 casualties, unharmed infantry section, and then an 80 Hawk light section with 1 casualty, 60 millimeter mortar and 30 cal machine gun in support. We do have 2 operations points we could assign to bringing on a sniper. It looks like it's going to be a pretty heavily urban map, but I'm assuming that the Germans will not have too many troops because we've bloodied them very heavily throughout this particular sector. So I can't imagine they have a ton of troops. I'm going to go ahead and spend those 2 points that I did gain between battles on a sniper. And so we are going to continue to grow our strength of these troops. We're almost to the maximum amount of active infantry teams, although we certainly could add more in the way of support. With that being said, I think we're doing okay in this section. I don't think we're going to fight that battle here today. That'll have to be for another time. With that being said, guys, I hope you guys did enjoy. We had our first setback in this particular Let's Play series at the Arnhem landing zone, which is concerning given it's day 1. We need to hold that area. I've never failed to hold that map, but the Germans just, I guess they just sneaked their way across the map. Maybe I should have left troops in that wood line in the center of the map, not because they would have fared very well, but they would have exposed those Germans sneaking up on my troops. And then in fighting my troops in the woods, they would have been exposed to my troops in the house, which would have been able to shoot them down, even if my troops in the woods had been killed. I think that probably would have been the sound decision. I didn't make it. With that being said, we'll see how we adjust in the following battles in the following days. Until next time, this is the Historical Gamer saying once again, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm out.